Part 1. The sound of the edge of the earth. It began with a persistent sound in my ear that refused to dissipate. My companions informed me that this condition is known as tinnitus and linked it to my service in the Corps. This started 7 years ago, and the sound has yet to cease. Approaching my 30s, I have tried medications, undergone tests, and participated in experimental treatments, yet nothing provides relief. Some days are easier than others. The ringing subsides to a faint, hardly noticeable hum. Occasionally, it becomes a bothersome distraction that hampers my ability to hear others, causing me to ask them to repeat what they say. However, on certain days, it resonates in my mind with an agonizing screech akin to a train unable to halt. Yet it never truly stops. Those days are unbearable. I often have to notify my workplace about my absence. I bellow over the noise with a thunderous "hello" to the receptionist on the line, and she understands. "It's all right, Mark. Inform us when you feel better." I disconnect, burdened with the feeling of disappointing my employer by not being present at work. The disability payments I receive assist in compensating for my time away. Without that support, I have no idea how I would cope. On such days, I retreat to bed, attempting to avoid madness from the noise that overwhelms all other sounds in the world. My mind feels as though it's vibrating, and it begins to throb with an intense headache. Eventually, after several hours, I find myself lying in a mix of sweat and tears as my body succumbs, and I faint. Those rare moments of silence offer the only respite from the ringing, the dark, dreamless slumber that may stretch for hours while feeling but a few fleeting seconds to me. I believe I can hear a voice. Its words are unclear. It seems to come from a distant place. I awaken in darkness, anticipating the sound to resume. Usually, it starts with a gentle tone that gradually rises to its loudest peak. However, the ringing fails to return. I remain still for several moments, gazing at the ceiling. The quiet is overwhelmingly loud after enduring that irritating ringing for so long. I rise, looking into the dark emptiness of my room. The nighttime sounds were something I nearly forgot after years of that relentless droning in my ear. The delightful chorus of chirping crickets, the soft swaying of leaves, and the gentle breeze against the walls of my home. That I rose from my spot and made my way to the window, drawing back the blackout curtain to let the gentle moonlight pour into my room. A soft breeze sets the chimes across the street in motion, as the tines lightly sway, creating a melodic sound that dances along with the wind. I open my window, rediscovering the calming sounds that I had overlooked during my childhood. With my eyes shut tight, I savored the cool evening breeze brushing against my skin, fresh and moist as it flowed in. The sense of wet grass and moist earth drifted through the air, reaching me as the wind swept by it. A noise in the distance catches my attention. I open my eyes to investigate, but the sound ceases. Once again, I close my eyes, and it comes back. I concentrate on it, a soft murmur that resonates within the quiet night. I can't shake the sensation that it has a message for me. I open my eyes anew and notice a man with his dog. An unsettling feeling stirs within my stomach. The man is crossing the street with his dog, yet when he glances over and spots me, my heart starts to race. I cautiously retreat back inside my window. The man continues to observe me. His gaze holds an odd intensity, and I can't dismiss the sense that something is amiss. I hurriedly shut the window and curl up beneath it, feeling my breath quicken and become shallow. Anxiety overwhelms my thoughts as I stand up abruptly and dash down the stairs at full speed to ensure my front door is secured. It is indeed locked. I hurry to the back door, which is also safe. I sprint to each window, verifying that they are all tightly sealed, pausing at the entrance to my living room. I turn slowly and notice an open window located to the right of the front door. Had it been open when I last entered the room? Couldn't remember. My breathing quickens again as I cautiously approach the entryway table, fiddling with the handle of a false drawer. 1 click to the left, 7 to the right, 7 to the left again, and 5 to the right. A soft click signals the opening of the bottom compartment, and I reach inside to retrieve my concealed M18 from its stash. Panting heavily, I move towards the open window and cautiously pull back the slide, checking to see that a single round is loaded in the chamber. I inhaled deeply to steady my trembling hands, relying on my training. I shut my eyes for a brief moment before quickly raising my head to peek around the window's corner, aiming the pistol at the opening. However, it remains firmly shut, and when I tap the metal, the glass produces a faint tink that I spin around and take a look at my home. It's dim and still. There are no signs of action to be heard anywhere. I draw back the curtain and glance through the window, noticing the guy crouching down to clean up after his dog. He proceeds with his stroll, not casting another glance in my direction. My breaths gradually steady as I watch the man round a corner and vanish from view. What on earth was that? I returned to my room and lay on my bed, just in my boxers, holding the pistol. I flopped down on the mattress, gazing at the ceiling until dawn broke, my eyelids growing heavy when I suddenly heard something again. It resembled rushing water, a soft yet persistent flow that gradually intensified, but it wasn't an external sound. It was in my mind, a scream, a man crying out in extreme distress. The noise was deafening in my head, and then it ceased. I propped myself up, my eyelids weighed down from insufficient sleep that I think I might be losing my mind that I glanced at the clock. 7:26 a.m. I need to prepare for work. I stood up, placed the gun in my underwear drawer, then selected new clothes and made my way to the shower in an attempt to clear my thoughts and begin my day. I washed off and started feeling better, relishing activities I had overlooked as comforting. I had forgotten the soothing sounds of water flowing without the interruptions of ringing. The noise of the razor as it crackled against the stubborn bristles on my face while I shaved. The sound of my toothbrush brushing against my teeth, or the rustling of my scrubs as I put them on. The gentle sounds of splashing water as I used the restroom, with only the splashes accompanying that sensation. Even the swish of water as it drained into the tank below. I climbed into my car and played my music. I adjusted the volume to a normal setting. At last, I could appreciate the tunes at a reasonable level rather than just using them to mask the noise in my mind. A sense of joy washed over me that I hadn't experienced in ages as the songs played one after another on my journey to work. I couldn't recall the last moment I felt so relaxed. I drove into the parking lot of my clinic and exited to clock in. I noticed the sound of dog nails clicking on the tile as the assistants brought them into the exam rooms. The receptionist, Sarah, warmly greeted me with a smile. "Feeling better, Marky?" she asked, noticing my cheerful demeanor. "Much improved. Anything noteworthy happen last night?" I asked her. 13-year-old female golden retriever, HBC. "She's still recovering," she replied. "The poor thing is completely bandaged and on a 24-hour morphine drip in the ISO ward." "Wow, sounds like she's fortunate to be alive," I remarked, more to myself than to her. "You should hurry back there. Caroline will be upset if she has to stay longer. They had her cover a double shift since you called out yesterday. She's approaching 16 hours straight now." Sarah cautioned. I raised a finger in greeting and proceeded through the employee entrance towards my designated work spot. As I walked past the kennel technicians, they waved at me, and I returned the gesture. They were all aware of my daily struggles, realizing that there might be times when I wouldn't be seen for several days or even weeks. I was certain that the other staff at the clinic would be pleased to see me return so quickly. I was simply relieved that the sounds I had become accustomed to over the years had finally ceased. Perhaps I could genuinely start to appreciate being a technician in the area that I cherished greatly. It was fulfilling to witness families coming together after facing hardships, and it brought me joy. However, not every day was filled with happiness and delightful moments. Some days seemed to present insurmountable challenges, making those days particularly tough. At one point, a 15-year-old family cat arrived as a critical case. This cat lived both outside and inside. It had crept into their car's engine compartment during the chilly winter for warmth. In the early morning hours, the owners let the cat out to wander around. Believing it had found a secure spot for a quick snooze, it settled in. Moments later, as the husband left for his job, he started his vehicle, and chaos ensued. He heard the desperate yowls of the unfortunate cat as it was drawn into a space far too constricted for its size due to the timing belts it had been resting on. In an instant, The continuous movement of the engine caused severe injuries, tearing open its abdomen and severing one of its hind legs completely. The other leg hung by a few tendons, while its intestines spilled out. The man quickly turned off his vehicle and opened the hood to investigate what had just occurred. He felt compelled to vomit upon witnessing the horrifying, bloodied situation inside. To this day, I struggle to comprehend how anyone managed to put the cat into a carrier or how it made it to the clinic in such a dire state. The power of adrenaline is remarkable. Upon their arrival, they hurried the carrier in, insisting it was an emergency. One receptionist swiftly escorted it through the emergency entrance leading directly into e-triage, while another announced code black over the speaker system. Every available personnel rushed to the table to provide assistance, bringing along anything they thought might be necessary. The scene that confronted us resembled something from a horror film. As soon as the receptionist released the latch, the cat bolted out of the carrier, hitting the ground with a heavy, wet smack. It let out a scream as it desperately used its front legs to drag its incapacitated body across the floor, leaving a trail of blood behind. One of its legs dangled by mere strands of meat and tendons, while its torn intestines followed in its wake point. One of the technicians picked up the Easy Nabber, a straightforward X-shaped device made of metal rods fitted with nets that were only loosely stretched. It was designed to help corner and safely capture small, quick animals while minimizing harm to both the creature and the handler. With quick motion, she closed it and held it securely within the nets. We lifted the cat onto the examination table. I cautiously slid my hand through the metal bars of the netting and firmly scruffed the cat to prevent any further movement. It let out a low growl, but I held on tightly. We promptly inserted N4 and administered pain relief medication, but, unfortunately, it appeared to have no effect. Cats, as an unfortunate part of the evolutionary process, often struggle to respond to medications for severe pain, and when they do, the results are minimal. This was certainly one of those instances. We reached out to the pet owners right after retrieving the details from the microchip and informed them about the condition of their cat. They gave us permission to proceed with euthanasia and mentioned they would come to claim the remains. We attempted to caution them that seeing the cat in such a state might be distressing, but they insisted on coming. Soon after, a man, his wife, and their 3 children arrived. The kids, consisting of a boy and 2 girls, were already in tears. We led the husband to see the cat, and upon witnessing its condition, his face drained of color, and he turned away. "All right, yeah, the kids can't see her like this," he said quietly. "I'm truly sorry," I reassured him. "We raised her since she was a kitten," he replied, his eyes filling with tears as he struggled to maintain his composure. "I understand that you need some time to mourn with your family," I said, aware of the pain that accompanies losing a cherished pet. I guided him back to his family, who were gathered in the comfort room, away from the waiting and examination areas. This room was a designated space that allowed families to find solace after such difficult moments. The children were all in tears, and the youngest girl pulled at my shirt, pleading with me to please bring her kitty back. Her father picked her up and hugged her tightly while she buried her face in his neck, weeping onto his shirt. "There's nothing they can do, sweetie," he tried to soothe her. Those were the most difficult experiences to endure. As a veterinary technician, it's essential to try to shield yourself from the emotional impact. I wish I could say I cried alongside that family and expressed my sorrow with them. However, I did not. I felt a sense of sorrow and compassion for the animal and understood the pain the family had to face. After many years of witnessing such events repeatedly, I had grown desensitized to it all. Initially, those situations would leave you in disbelief, but over time, they simply become a routine part of the job, and you learn to tolerate them. I developed a bleak sense of humor as a way to cope with the experiences I encountered. I would make jokes with other technicians who had similar experiences. For instance, there was a night when the cold storage became overloaded with euthanized animals following a particularly difficult shift. We needed to rearrange the frozen animals to accommodate the new arrivals. I called on the euthanasia technician for assistance and jokingly said I needed his help with a game of Tetris. He chuckled at my comment and assisted me with the task. Later, we reached out for an unscheduled pickup from the nearby pet cemetery, and they dispatched their driver to collect the remains. When he arrived, I attempted to lighten the somber atmosphere by recalling my earlier joke, but he did not find it amusing. In fact, he frowned in response. I walked away feeling awkward. I recognized that I needed to manage that part of my personality around others. He only dealt with the remains after they were already managed and placed in bags. He was not familiar with what was beneath the wrappings.